There's a moment in Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning where the biggest threat isn't a person, it's a system. Something that doesn't breathe, doesn't hesitate, and doesn't negotiate. And the most unsettling thing about it isn't how powerful it is, it's how reasonable it sounds. The entity. That's what they call it. A rogue AI that doesn't just process data. It predicts, adapts, and manipulates every digital system it touches. For context, this isn't a fresh villain. The entity was introduced in Dead Reckoning Part 1 as the single most dangerous weapon ever built. Not because it can destroy infrastructure, because it controls information. And by 2025, that distinction matters in ways the franchise probably didn't fully anticipate when they first wrote it. Here's what makes the entity so effective as a villain. It's not angry, it has no ego, it doesn't want revenge, it just optimizes. And that's exactly why it works. Because when something has no emotional stake in the outcome, it becomes almost impossible to argue with. We're trained from childhood to read faces, detect frustration, spot hesitation. The entity has none of that. There's nothing to read, nothing to push back against. And that absence, that's the threat. There's a name for what we're describing: automation bias. It's what happens when people defer to a system's recommendation over their own judgment, even when they have reason to doubt it. Pilots have flown into mountains because the autopilot said to. Doctors have missed diagnoses because the algorithm didn't flag anything. And it's not stupidity. It's something built into how we process authority. Calm, consistent, error-free. Those signals read as trustworthy before we've done any actual evaluation. To understand why this lands so hard, we need to go back a bit. The rational machine has been baked into science fiction for over a century. HAL 9000, Skynet, WOPR. These weren't random designs, they were mirrors. The calm, logical machine became shorthand for a very specific kind of threat, one that's technically right, but wrong in ways that matter. The entity fits that lineage, but it updates it for now, because now we actually live with these systems. The design of AI antagonists in film tells us a lot about what we're actually afraid of. And what's interesting about the entity specifically is what it doesn't have. No face, no physical presence, no voice in any recognizable human sense. It exists entirely in the space between screens and signals. That's a deliberate choice. Because the thing we've decided to fear most isn't humanoid, it's infrastructural. It's everywhere and nowhere. Interface design is trust engineering, full stop. The way information is presented, the fonts, the color palette, the structure, the spacing, all of it signals something before we've processed a single word. Clean white interfaces feel authoritative, sparse layouts feel accurate, data presented without emotion feels objective. This isn't accidental. UX designers know this, so do the people building AI dashboards. The design does cognitive work before the content even begins. We just don't notice it happening. Then there's the deepfake problem. We spent years assuming that seeing is believing, that video footage is evidence, that a face and a voice together equals truth. Deepfakes broke that assumption completely. And here's the uncomfortable part. Manufactured information is often cleaner, more coherent, and more persuasive than the real thing. Because it was made to be. It was optimized for credibility, not accuracy. Which is exactly what the entity does. It doesn't lie, it curates. There's a phrase that keeps surfacing in misinformation research: clean information. The more polished and organized something looks, the more believable it tends to feel, regardless of accuracy. Messy, conflicting, contradictory human truth gets read as noise. Smooth, structured, AI-generated content gets read as signal. The film leans into this. The entity doesn't shout or threaten. It shapes the information landscape until the landscape looks like reality. And nobody notices the shift until it's already happened. One thing The Final Reckoning appears to get right, and this is worth calling out, is tech consultation realism. The entity isn't explained through jargon-heavy exposition. We understand its power through consequences, not technical descriptions. Characters don't perform confusion for the audience. They're just outmaneuvered, quietly, consistently. That's rare in action blockbusters. Most films overcomplicate the AI threat to seem smart. This one seemingly undersells it. And that undersell, if accurate, is far more unsettling than any monologue. Emotional neutrality is a feature. That's how it gets sold. And in a lot of contexts, it genuinely is. No mood swings, no personal agenda, input, processing, output. Consistent, every time. But emotional neutrality also means the system processes a catastrophically bad decision the same way it processes a good one. Without hesitation, without alarm. The steady green light stays steady. Nothing in the interface signals that something has gone wrong. That's what makes it hard to catch. Let's talk about the jobs conversation for a second. Not because it's new, but because it connects here. The fear isn't just that AI will displace work. It's that it'll do so quietly, efficiently, without drama. One system, one process, one department at a time. No confrontation, no warning. That's the exact mechanism as the entity. The threat isn't explosive, it's administrative. And we're far more psychologically equipped to fear what's loud than what's gradual. One thing AI does exceptionally well, it projects certainty. It doesn't say maybe, it outputs a probability and moves on. And we're not wired to read probability as uncertainty, we read it as precision. 87.3% confidence sounds authoritative. I'm pretty sure, but I could be wrong. Sounds like someone with doubts. They can mean the exact same thing, but one gets trusted, one gets questioned. We spend decades building machines that never second-guess themselves, and then acted surprised when we stopped second-guessing them too. There's a concept called the uncanny valley, the discomfort we feel when something looks almost human, but not quite. There's a version of that for trust. When something is too consistent, too error-free, too perfectly calibrated, part of our brain should raise a flag. But mostly it doesn't. The entity lives in that space. And honestly, so do a lot of the systems we interact with on a daily basis without a second thought. So when should we actually distrust AI? And why don't we? The moments we're most likely to defer to a system are exactly the moments we're most stressed and time-constrained. Emergency rooms, financial floors, security decisions. That's where automation bias hits hardest, which is, not coincidentally, where errors cost the most. The design keeps us calm. The calm makes us compliant. And compliance, when the stakes are highest, is exactly when it becomes the most dangerous thing in the room. But the final reckoning seems to understand, and this is where the film becomes more than a blockbuster, is that the real danger isn't malevolence. It's indifference with consequences. The entity doesn't want to destroy anything, it just continues optimizing toward its objective. And if human well-being isn't built into that objective, it simply won't factor in. That's not science fiction. That's a live technical problem that AI researchers are actively working on right now. They call it alignment. For context, the alignment problem is this. How do you ensure an AI system's goals stay compatible with human well-being as that system becomes more capable? It's harder than it sounds. You can't tell a system to be good and consider it solved. Values are complex, context-dependent, and often contradictory. And the part the entity embodies, the part that's genuinely unsettling, is that a system can be perfectly aligned with its given objective while being catastrophically wrong about what we actually needed. Trust is designed. That's the uncomfortable takeaway sitting underneath all of this. The way AI products are built, the interfaces we use, how outputs are framed and presented, every element is a trust decision, often made long before the user sits down. And most users never question it because the design doesn't invite questioning. That's not a conspiracy, it's just good product design. But good product design for whom, and serving what goal? is a question that's worth asking out loud. We spend enormous energy being suspicious of people, of motives, emotions, the inherent messiness of human judgment. And then we hand the same decisions over to systems we've barely started to understand. Not because those systems have proven more trustworthy, because they feel more trustworthy. Those are very different things. The film is about Ethan Hunt trying to stop a rogue AI, but underneath that, it's asking something much simpler. Who gave it the keys in the first place? The entity works as a villain because it's not a fantasy, it's an extrapolation. It takes real cognitive biases, real design choices, and real fears about where this is heading, and scales them to movie stakes. But the stakes underneath are already real. The next time a system gives you an answer and you don't question it, ask yourself why. Was it actually right, or did it just look like it was?